Hello Flosstube, my name is Deb. I am the Traveling Stocking Stitcher, and yes, we are not done with Ireland yet. Last episode, I did show you the whips I was working on to remind me of my trip to Ireland. I like to stitch things because of my name, Traveling Stocking Stitcher, of places that I visited. I had 4 whips. I've got 3 of those done. I've got an FFO, and we've got a whip that's a little further along than the last time you saw it. And so we're going to show you those again. I'm calling this episode Pushing My Luck of the Irish. Now, the dress. Last episode I did not have any sort of greenery on, but shortly after I did that video, it was just post St. Patrick's Day, we went to Goodwill and saw this dress from across the room and locked eyes instantly, and my husband said, well, you got to have that because you've got another episode to do of Ireland. And I said, yeah, I think I do. So I went over, found no beer stains on it, and it was senior day. So, you know, I'm a card-carrying member, and nobody wants to see the card very much anymore, but got a discount on it too, so this is my St. Patrick's Day dress. So, in addition to Irish stuff, I'll also give you a little sneak peek of what I'm going to be doing for my next episode. I've started some work on some pieces that remind me of Spain, specifically the town of Granada. So we'll take a look at some of that stuff too and see what I've gotten done so far. So I want to welcome you all here. We've had quite a few subscribers come on since the last time, so very glad to see you all here. If you're new, glad to have you back. Now it is still technically March. We've got a couple days left of March, so I thought I'd get this in under the wire, although I probably am angering the YouTube algorithm gods, and they will punish me by relegating my video to some obscurity. So if you want to like my video, that would help some, because I assume that they have some sort of weeding out of things past the expiration date. So by declaring St. Patrick's Day and wearing shamrocks, I'm probably dooming myself to obscurity. So first up, I'll show you what I most recently finished. This one was a combination. On the top I did some Blackwork, a map of Ireland from Peppermint Purple, and on the bottom I did a town from Poppyfield Lane that looks like a typical Irish town, although Derwentwater Designs is the name of the company, and Derwentwater is a town in England, but it looks, the thatch roofs looked Irish to me, the church, saw a lot of those kinds of things. So this is a kit designed by Rose Swalwell, and this is from 1999, so it was a handwritten chart. But it was fine. I had plenty of floss left over, which is what you always worry about. And I switched out the fabric. So this is what we have. So here is my Blackwork stuff. And I moved the name, and the name was Ireland was over here. I moved it up top and found this little black and green shamrock here that I put up there and did all that. And then in my last video I kind of did a rundown of the different names of the places the things that we saw, and since then I've added beads to the corresponding places geographically on the map, little gold beads, like a little pot of gold. So this is the top half, and then at the bottom here is the town that reminds me so much of Ireland. Now again, these windows probably look more British than they do Irish. These windows look more Irish, which is kind of the more plain look. But the thatch roof cottage and the church, the stone church, and the flowers. We were there like mid to the end of May. Like beautiful, pretty, you know, almost all the days were nice. We had maybe a day or two of rain, but flowers everywhere. It was beautiful, so this is very reminiscent of what we saw when we were there. The things I changed on the map, the called for, they had 414, which is a gray, and I thought Ireland, I chose to use one strand of classic Sulky, classic green Sulky, and on the outside they called for 310. I just used Anchor Black and did that. And put it in a frame, travel poster frame, because this is going to be part of my travel poster collection. So that is Ireland. And then the fabric is 18 count Jade Aida fabric, and it's the equivalent, DMC equivalent of 3813. So, and it's got a little bit of modeling on there, just a gentle amount of modeling. Now one other thing, I don't know what the thinking is. There is the sky here is 10 stitches, or half stitches. And when I've done 10 stitches in the past, just without thinking, I start them the same direction that I do the first leg of all my stitching. But then, once I get into it, I think, well, maybe they should be going the same direction as the finished legs so that everything looks like it's going the same way. So I tried that. It took a lot of paying attention to just not automatically start doing that. But I don't know. Do they get lost a little bit more? Are they more pronounced when you do them the other direction? I don't know what to think. So anybody who's got opinions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments down below. But it's so soft, and with the green, I don't think you can see anyway. I was also a little bit concerned about the pink and the blue. When I first started out, I started in the middle, and that kind of went away. I'm not too concerned anymore about that pinkish color. And as a matter of fact, with the green being almost kind of a pastel, I think I'm comfortable with it. So that's the first Ireland piece we have for you. One thing I want to mention, I'm making a change to my channel in the fact that I used to always put a lot of text up on the screen about the name of the designer, the name of the design, the fabric, what have you. And I know when I'm watching Flosstube, and same with you, you're not looking up actively at the screen, and if you do catch some text out of your corner of your eye, I think you need to go back and look at it. And plus it takes forever to edit and add all that stuff in there. So I've always put the information in the description box anyway, so if you need to know, go down there and look for it. It'll be there. But just to save you and me some time, I'm not going to put the stuff up on the screen anymore. So unless I, have some obvious correction that needs to be done, or I forget to say something, which is quite possibly likely, then you might see some stuff on the screen. But other than that, I've made the decision to leave it down in the description box for now. So hope that works out. Next up is Lovely Day for a Guinness, and this is the toucans. This was almost done last time. I just have it in a frame now, and there's one piece of floss that I was missing. So there it is. This came from CrossStitch the World website down below, and they're a British company. And this goes with the companion piece, Lovely Day for a Guinness, with the other toucan. So there they both are. There's a slight difference in the color of the fabric. I didn't know that there were two different kinds before, had I known. But, you'll never know, and I really don't even notice when they're next to each other that they're just a slightly different off-white or ivory. I try to include a fun fact. I didn't have a lot of luck finding fun facts anymore. I must have used all my fun facts in my last video. But St. Patrick's Day is celebrated in more countries than any other national festival, which makes sense. I mean, people don't celebrate the 4th of July in other countries. Independence Day is good. They have a 4th of July, don't get me wrong, but they don't celebrate Independence Day. But St. Patrick's Day, all kinds of different countries celebrate. The Ring of Kerry, when I showed you on this guy here, Ring of Kerry, Charlie Chaplin used to vacation there for 10 years. He took his family and went to the town of Waterton, and they have a statue of him there too. So here's my picture of me hanging out with Charlie. And then the next finish I have for you is, again, another conglomeration of different things that I put together. I started with the Irish sampler. This is designed by Kathy Berlew, and it was in a magazine of some sort. I got it on eBay, and I wanted, again, to make it into a travel poster, and it wasn't big enough to fit in the 11x14 frame. So I started looking on Pinterest for some Celtic kinds of designs and scroll work or frames or things like that. And I saw this particular thing, and I thought, oh, well, I like kind of the corners of that. I mean, there's a lot of detail in there, but I thought if I could make kind of a frame out of it and put something in between there. So I kind of designed that frame and put some Celtic knots around it, and found some designs for some Celtic knots, and kind of used some of those to put things in there in the corners and around the perimeter, and that would flesh it out enough to make it into a wide enough piece. And then beneath, I used Celtic Alphabet. This is from CrossStitchKitsAlla on Etsy, to spell out Ireland at the bottom. So this is what the finish looks like. There it is, and I've got Ireland down at the bottom. Yeah. Get close here so you can see. So you can see the framework. I kind of did a little bit of that. And these knots, boy, these Celtic knots, I didn't have these done last time, I just had a couple in here. But there's 22 of these things, and the first one I did was like 2.5 hours it took me. By the time I got done, I was down to about 45 minutes per knot, but that's still a lot of time for 22 knots. So, the time killer. And I used pearl cotton for this. I talked in my last video about tips that I use for working on pearl cotton to do the, kind of looks like a cable knit sweater, Irish sweater, and that is my Irish sample. This was done on 36 count 2/2, and it is Winter Moon Edinburgh Linen by Zweigart. There it is. And then the last Irish piece I have to show you. This is a whip. It's a vintage Irish TWA or Fly TWA travel poster. I got it off of Stormy X Stitch on Etsy, and the artist is S. Greco. And the original poster looks like this. There's a little brighter, a little more definition to it. This is what the mock-up looks like. And I just did it on some 16 count green Aida because I'm going to use the background. I'm not going to do all the sky and stuff. So this is what I've got. So compared to what I had before, compared to what I had before, I've made some progress. And the real reason I made progress is Pattern Keeper. It makes it so much faster. So here we got the little guy on the horse. And, you know, there's not a lot of detail as opposed to the original thing. But this stone cross, this Celtic cross, you see them all over the place. Here's a picture of the town of Cong we were at. This is, they filmed The Quiet Man, starring John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara in the town of Cong. And so you can see some of the buildings that look familiar if you've ever seen that movie. And they have they have a thing in the middle of the street that's similar to this. It's not quite a Celtic cross, but you see these things in the middle of the road. And they actually even have a statue of John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara in the town. So that covers what I have done for Ireland, but as I've been, searching out things to work on, I've run across some things that, if you like the things that I stitch on, you probably would find these as well. These are kind of on my list of things that someday I might like to do. So I've done the Googling for you, so I'm just going to run through a few things that I've seen and liked and thought I'd mention to you. First up is a site called CelticHobbies.com. Now they have a huge selection of Celtic related designs. So, they have some of the common things, but specifically the Irish or Celtic versions of like ink circles or long dog samplers. They even have some Celtic Christmas stockings, which I'd not seen before. And they have an Etsy shop as well called Celtic Craft Shop US. They've got a 10th anniversary shamrocks design, a Claddagh cross that has 3 different shamrocks on it. Looks like this, that I really like as well. I thought that was cute. So you might want to check them out if you're specifically looking for something Irish, because they have a lot of choices out there. Another one, I've done some Celtic ladies and have plans to do a few more, but I've done some modifications to those and belong to the L&L, the Lavender and Lace Celtic Ladies Facebook group, and on there it's a private group, so I don't want to mention the person that had done the conversion, but if you join that group, there is an Celtic lady that someone has done, an Irish version of a Celtic lady, and it looks like this, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I think she's even got details on the modifications that she did in a file in there as well, so really very pretty. Really like that a lot. Very tempted to do that. I love the scroll work that she modified the scroll work around the outside to make it more of a Celtic knot look as well. And then Joan Elliott has, I don't know that these are all still in print, but through DesignWorks she has a number of different designs that I think are very, very, very pretty. She has a Welcome Friends, and it's in Gaelic, and it says Falte a Charaird I want to put this one up on the screen because I can't say it. That is very pretty. And she also has a wedding sampler that I think is really lovely as well. And then she also has a Celtic wheel that looks like this. I follow MJ McCarney on Instagram, and she posts this once in a while, and I told her the other day, every time I see this, I stop and gawk at it for a while because I think it's very beautiful. Very lovely. So those are all Joan Elliott's, and very intricate. I love the colors that she has used for the Celtic designs that she does. Rosewood Manor has a few things that have caught my eye. They have Green on Green that I like very much, and they have Green Rhapsody, which is another one that I would very much consider, even though I'm not much of a sampler person, and these are kind of sampler-ish. I do like these. So Rosewood Manor, I'm not done one, but I like a lot of their stuff. And chatelaines, there is an Irish chatelaine mandala as well. Now, they have a lot of castles, and a lot of the castles, as a matter of fact, I think almost all the castles on there are not castles that we saw. So I'm a little hesitant to do that one, but it's still very beautiful. Another one is Doors of Dublin. This was from Whitney Ranch Designs, and I took a lot of pictures of doors when I was in Ireland, so much so that when I put together, I do a Shutterfly picture book. I did a few pages of door collages, and so here's some examples of some of my doors of Ireland that I saw. They weren't in Dublin, we didn't go to Dublin, but there is a design out there called Doors of Dublin that you might want to think about. So those are some ideas of things that I thought I might pass along to you, because you might enjoy looking at those again. Happy to enable. And seal of approval. I like to pick out somebody that typifies the theme that we have at hand. And a while back I was watching, not real far back, might be a couple of videos ago from them, but Sable Stitchers, their episode number 21. They did a Sweet Clover Girl by Pineberry Lane, and the finish was what really caught my eye. They had found, or searched on Amazon for an old book. They didn't care what the book was, but it had, it was an old vintage book, and it had shamrocks all over it. And she cut out the middle and used that as the frame. I thought that was just the cutest thing. So go check out episode 21 of Sable Stitchers. Highly recommend that. That was very, very cute. And then just general shout outs. This one's kind of off track. It's not related to anything, but I was really captivated by it. Needle and Flax Flosstube. She has started a series in addition to her regular Flosstube. She has started a series on the First Ladies. So, maybe I'm the last one to find this out because she's got a lot of subscribers. But it was very fascinating. She did Martha Washington first, obviously, and I think she's got a second one out with Abigail Adams. But she's a history buff and has read a lot, and she kind of has run down and tells you a little bit about husband and the wife, and she's going to go through a whole series and do all of the First Ladies, and I just thought it was fascinating. So I highly recommend Needle and Flax Flosstube. Check her out. And then I do thank Amber, Rogue Mama Stitcher. I'd sent some stuff over to her, things that I'd stitched, and I know that she's a prolific stocking stitcher as well, so I had things that I was never going to stitch again. I've stitched them before, I'm not stitching them again, so I sent them her way, and she went through and showed them all, and was very, very kind to tell people to come see me and watch my videos. So thanks, Amber. So next up, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of what I've been working on. Next destination is going to be Spain. We went to Spain, and the first town we visited was Granada. So I'm going to show you what I've chosen to work on. I've got a few things started. So the first thing we have is, this is from the Vivsters, and it's called Moroccan Lanterns, and they're on Etsy. And I've chosen to do this on 25 count granite aida, and it's pretty small, but I'm doing it over 1 over 1, and here it is. And it just, the colors, the way they blend into, the dark to the light, they look like they're on fire. They just look like they're aglow. I just love this piece. Having fun. Now there's a lot of black to stitch there, and I thought it was going to be tedious, but again, it's like, it's like lighting the match to the flame. as you're stitching. They just, because I found it easiest to do the colors first and then do the black around it. And again, when you're stitching the black around it, it just ignites the design. So had to go pretty small. I'm going to put the word Granada across the bottom. It's going to fit in a 11-inch wide frame. So this is a wide piece, but not, you know, very tall, so I'll have room across the bottom. So those are the plans for this. I had my first encounter with my first trip to a local needlework shop. Stitchville, USA is about 20 miles probably away from us. And my husband, on the weekends, almost every weekend, he volunteers for a different county in the metro. He's a great fixer. He can fix anything. He tinkers with stuff all the time. And they have, as part of the county's put on, as part of the reuse, reduce, repair, recycle initiatives, they have volunteers, and people can bring in, they call them fix-it clinics, and people can bring things in that are broken, and the volunteers fix them up. And so they move around to different counties, different locations, different libraries, typically your churches, sometimes they'll set up in. And I got to thinking, you know, there's a needlework shop probably near one of these locations. So last month, he was going to the one, and when I looked it up, they were in the library that was literally across the street from Stitchville, USA. So I got to go to my first needlework shop and had 3 hours to kill. What am I going to do? So I spent some time. I picked up some fabric. This is where I got the material for Moroccan lanterns, but I also picked up some fabric for Arabian Nights that I was going to do, also from the Vivsters. Granada has a strong Moroccan influence. They're just over the Gibraltar Strait from North Africa, so there's a strong Moorish influence. And so I was going to do this one, and it reminds me of the Alhambra. And so I'm going to put the wording across the bottom of this. This is what it looks like. But I picked up a piece of aida at the store, and it's from Zweigart, and it's just, I started stitching on it. It was so thick and so heavy, and no fault of the shop, but, you know, it was really hard to find holes, and it was really uncomfortable to stitch with. So I Googled. The first thing I came up with, I thought, well, this seems fairly, you know, instead of having to wash it, which would have been one choice to maybe get some of the starch out of it, somebody said, well, put it in the dryer with a dryer sheet, a fabric softener sheet, and a wet towel, and let it bounce around for a while. Didn't seem like anything could go wrong with it. But look what happened. There's this big, ugly, I don't even know if you can be able to see that. Let me put something behind it. It's got this weird, I didn't iron it because I'm never going to use it again because it looks terrible. But can you see that strange looking, I don't even know. Yeah, you can see it if I go back a little bit further. See that? I can't get that out. I tried washing it after the fact, but now the damage is done. Here's my little start that I have up here. But it's a little bit softer. I could probably work on it now. But I decided to buy some 18 count. So I ordered some 18 count because I was going to be pretty close to the edges with the width of this thing. So I wanted to have a little more perimeter inside the frame. So I went with 30 again. It's probably going to be horrible, but I know not to put it in the dryer with a dryer sheet now. So don't you do that, because this is a worthless piece of fabric now. But back to Stitchville, USA. Lovely, lovely artwork on the walls, the stitching on the walls. But I feel kind of inadequate because it's all so small. I imagine they have the model stitchers do things just for size, because there's so many things displayed that if they were, 14 count, they'd be huge. So everything's done a little tiny, like 40 count. I felt very inadequate, so maybe that's why I felt guilty about the 25 count. But anyway, so since I'm waiting for fabric to come in on this, I thought, well, let's work on something else. That's part of the reason I pulled the Ireland piece out again, sort of decided to do that again. But I also have from Awesome Pattern Studio, they have tons and tons and tons of cities. And a while back I bought a bunch of the cities that I've been to. But they have one that's Granada, and this is what I've got so far. And I've been looking at some ways that I might modify this. They have cars on some of the, like there's 3 cars on this particular pattern. Cars are not what I go to a city to see. They're cars. I don't know. I'm going to put something else in besides cars. I'm thinking about. I might do some balconies and some, what else was I thinking about? I don't know, something. But I'll play around with that a little bit more. So it's fun to have. I don't know quite what I'm going to do with these. I'm trying to make them all about so that they will fit in an 8x8 frame or the equivalent of that. So if I stitch them all up at some point, I got lots of them. I'll put them somewhere. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciated having you here and coming along on this little trip to Ireland with me. It is magically delicious. And next time we're going to Spain. We're going to Granada. I'm going to have more of it done, I promise you. So if you enjoyed what you saw and would like to hit the like button, that would be fantastic. If you haven't already subscribed and wouldn't mind coming back and seeing some more, hit the notification and the subscribe button. That would be fantastic as well. And we'll see you in Spain. Thanks. Bye.